Welcome to Lesson 100. Today we're talking about surface areas of right pyramids and cones. So what we're going to learn today is we're going to use the slant height of pyramids and cones to calculate their surface areas and their lateral surface areas. So we're going to talk about total surface area and lateral surface area. And then I'm going to ask you the question, how do we find the lateral surface area of a cube or a triangular prism? Well, let's go on. Let's review. The lateral surface area of a triangular prism, what we did is we did the perimeter of the base times the height. Remember we did that? And remember, it's just kind of like giving something a hug. So if I was going to calculate the lateral surface area of a box or rectangular prism, I would just be talking about the sides of the object. If I was going to give it a hug, I would not be talking about the top or the bottom of this, right? It's just the sides of it. Same thing with a triangular prism. This one might be a little bit easier to see or to visualize. We're not talking about the bases. We're just talking about the rectangular sides that we have. And we have 3 rectangular sides. Just imagine yourself crawling into a tent. And if you crawl in, you have a side on your left and a side on your right, and then you have a bottom part. So we're just talking about giving something a hug. And we talked about that a lot. I had you guys look outside our classroom window. Remember our classroom door? And we had those blue the blue columns outside, and I said if we're going to paint those, we would just paint all the way around it. We wouldn't paint the bottom of the floor that it's attached to or the top. Okay, so that's lateral surface area. We found that just by the perimeter of the base times the height. Okay, I'm going to tell you the easy way to do that as well for a triangular prism or a cone. Okay, so here's the ugly picture. Here's the net, right? And it's this right pyramid. It has a square base, right? So here's my square base. And then how many triangles do I have? I've got 4 triangles. And we're going to calculate the surface area, lateral surface area. We're going to exclude this base, but I'm going to give you a formula to do that. Instead of just calculating, or instead of finding the area of one triangle face, we multiply the length of the sides of the base and then the slant height. Or instead of doing all that, I'm going to give you something a little bit easier to remember. Okay, when we're looking at this new formula, I want to show you something. When we see lateral surface area, from now on, you're going to see A sub S. That stands for lateral surface area. Okay, perimeter is going to be a lowercase p. Okay, and your slant height is just going to be an S. Those are the things that we're going to be working with. So we're going to say that A sub S, or lateral surface area, equals something. Okay, so here's the formula. Easy way. Lateral surface area. A sub S is equal to the perimeter of the base times the slant height divided by 2. Okay, so let's write that out. Okay, so using words. A sub S, lateral surface area. That's what this means right here. And we take the perimeter of the base times the slant height divided by 2. Another way to look at it is 1/2 PS. Okay, and that's going to help for a right pyramid. And I'm going to show you how it works for other objects as well. Okay, so let's take a look at a right pyramid. And I'm going to say that this is 4 by, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you your slant height. I'm going to say your S is equal to 10, and we'll say inches. Okay, so now we're going to find the lateral surface area of this pyramid. Okay, we're going to start by writing our formula. Okay, so A sub S means lateral surface area, right? And it's PS divided by 2. A sub S is going to equal, what is my perimeter here? If I'm 4 by 4 by 4 by 4 all the way around, well, what do we have? We've got 16, right? Times my slant height of 10 divided by 2. And let's figure out what that is. Well, if we just do A sub S is equal to 16 times 10 is just 160 divided by 2, we get 80 inches. Is this squared? Is this cubed? Is this what? Well, we're talking about area, so it's squared. So we have 80 inches squared for the lateral surface area. So if I was going to paint the outside of this pyramid, I'd need enough paint to cover 80 square inches. Okay, now we're going to talk about lateral surface area of a cone. I told you this A sub s equals PS divided by 2 will work, but let me show you a different formula just for a cone. This still applies, but let me show you why it's different. Okay, A sub s. Now the perimeter of my base is a circle, and the perimeter of my base is called circumference, right? What's the formula for my circumference? Pi d. What if I don't know my diameter? What if I just know my radius? Well, circumference is 2 pi r, right? These are exactly the same. Remember that? They equal exactly the same thing. In fact, this formula is up on my wall. So it's 2 times the radius. That equals the diameter. It just means it's the same formula. Let's go ahead and use the one that I have the check mark by, okay, for the perimeter of the base. What does the S stand for here, guys? Remember? It stands for my slant height. So there's my slant height right there. Okay, that's my S. All right, now, lateral surface area. Let's use the formula that I have the check mark by. So perimeter of my base is going to be 2 pi r times my slant height divided by 2. Well, can these two 2's cross cancel out? You bet. So for the lateral surface area of a cone, we can then say A sub s is equal to pi r s. It gets a little easier. Okay, and if you can just remember this formula up top, that A sub s is equal to PS divided by 2, that works too. But if you can remember this formula for the lateral surface area of a cone, it makes it a little bit easier. Okay? Okay, let's try an example. Here's our cone. I'm going to say leave pi as pi, and I'm going to find lateral surface area, and then I want to find total surface area. So we're going to come over here, and I'm going to ask you for total surface area, and then we're going to do lateral. So let's do lateral first. Okay, lateral is, if we say A sub s is equal to, what did we just say? Pi r s. Okay, well, pi, we're going to leave pi as pi, so A sub s will equal pi times, what is my radius? They said the diameter was 10, but what is my radius? My radius would be 5, it would be half of it. And then my slant height, this is my slant height, times 13. So if I do A sub s, 5 times 13 is going to give me 65 pi centimeters squared. Okay, so that's my lateral surface area. Now for my total, what did I leave out? I remember I just did this part of the cone. I left out this top part right here. So all we have to do is find the surface area of a circle. How do we find the surface area of a circle? We're to our lateral. We're going to have A sub s. Whatever we found out that was, we're going to add the area of the circle. And the area of the circle is pi r squared. Okay, so we're still going to leave pi as pi. So pi times my radius, which was 5, squared. So my area here is just going to be 25 pi centimeters squared. To that, we're going to add our A sub s, our lateral surface area, which was 65 pi centimeters squared. Sorry, my m isn't there. And when we add those together, we get 90 pi centimeters squared. So we figured out lateral. Lateral is just the perimeter of your base times your slant height divided by 2. In this instance, we didn't divide by 2 because we multiplied by our radius rather than our diameter for our circumference, right? And that is it for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. And hopefully we'll have some more examples in our ALEKS. And I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.